Thanks for staying with us. As of course we've been looking at this throughout the show, youth unemployment is one of the country's biggest headaches. Recent figures now stand at over 60% when it comes to youth unemployment. Recently, one organization, Empowaworx Strategic Creative Marketing Agency, held an Empower Youth event in Orange Farm. This culminated in around 10,000 young people being exposed to some business experience, while some also received bursaries. But are we having an honest conversation about the high rate of youth unemployment in South Africa? Let's now discuss this with the stakeholder engagement consultant Dumi Roux and entrepreneur Gontse Selaocoe. Thank you so much to you both. I'll begin with you, Dumi. We often talk about these stats. We see them, Stats SA puts them out there. They talk about youth unemployment. We see them as just numbers or percentages. But are we having the hard conversations as a country, you'd say, when it comes to youth unemployment?
Sure. I think we really are having hard conversations, and I think let me speak from an Empower Youth perspective. So we established or created rather this platform that addresses the triple challenges that are faced by young people today, which is the unemployment, inequality and poverty. And what we did is we said youth are quite done with, just promises that are given to them on an annual basis, especially when we look at a month such as of this nature, and it's, the commemoration of 1976 youth. We're looking at us saying these are the platforms that are available for youth to look into in terms of the world of work. We bring industry, we bring young people together in one platform for them to be able to then tap into those particular opportunities. So I think, yes, we are having those conversations, but Empower Youth ensures that promises are then delivered through in terms of opportunities. And I'll get to that in just a moment, because I'm keen to find out how do we then deliver on some of these promises. I'll come to you, Gontse, because you are... I'm very impressed by what I'm seeing in front of me, but you started a jam business, and this is a business you started by monitoring your grandmother and making it from tomatoes. When did you think that this could be a business?
Immediately after matric, because I was motivated by the Step Up to Startup competition in grade 11. So after matric, I wanted to do my own business, but then I found out that Granny would do why don't my granny sell the jam in her shop? Then my granny told me that instead of her selling the jam in the shop, why don't I do it? Then I said, because I want to start my business, I want to start my own business, why don't I take this same skill that she has, then inherit it, then grow the empire, create jobs in the community, because I can see that it's hard to get jobs in these times of the year.
How many jobs have you created?
I've created 4 jobs. It's 2 full-time and 2 part-time jobs.
Wow, Gontse, I'm going to come back to you because I'm so keen to hear about this story, because I love jam. I'm sure a lot of our viewers do, and I want us to talk about that. But Dumi, when you then pick up young people like Gontse, I mean, one of the things that I often think about when I saw that event in Orange Farm, for example, is that you've got 2 young people, for example, growing up in the city of Johannesburg. One is growing up in Orange Farm, the other one is growing up in Bryanston. They're both in the same city but having a different experience. And how do we then begin to make sure that they have the same experience, because this also impacts on how they engage with institutions of higher learning?
Sure. So let me give you a practical example. So currently today, we had a summit that focuses on the manufacturing sector. So in Soweto today, we were there with the FPNM SETA, fiber processing and manufacturing SETA, and they were particularly saying, let's collaborate so that we can ensure that our youth are upskilled and our youth are given a standpoint where they can become more financially independent. So what we do is we'll bring youth together with the industry. We'll then probe for upskilling and probe for tapping into opportunities that will then speak to the transformation of their lives. So I think in essence, that's what we're doing, or that's what we're implementing to ensure that we're speaking to that particular point.
And does it also then translate into maybe helping them to be able to do things like a simple thing like a business plan, things like being able to formulate what kind of business I want to start as a young person, for example?
Yeah, sure. I think when we do then, place these young people into these various opportunities, they are sort of skilled and trained from, you know, the get-go, from scratch. So if you are at an ideation phase as an entrepreneur, they'll take you to a training, you know, as to how do you go about pitching your business idea. You know, the SETAs, I think, particularly the FPNM SETA, would then take on that role in ensuring that youth are going to be trained in their various sectors and then taken through all the way through to output point where they actually get to a point where they're now implementing their actual business.
Now, Gontse, for you, because you talk about how you now employ 4 people, I'm sure you've got plans to expand your business. Is there enough support for you to be able to do this?
Yes, there is enough support, and I'm still looking forward to get more support, because like initiatives like Empower Youth like this brings opportunities to us, people like in the townships, like Soweto, like Orange Farm. When they come to do like these seminars, we get information, we get platforms whereby we can go and apply for the fundings like NYDA, NEF, and GEP. So I have one testimony to share as well. Being at the events, I met the people from NYDA, and I was also helped with the business plan as well. And we were even taught how to do a business plan from the NYDA. So you register, then you attend their classes to train to do a business idea. Then you are okay with that. You can even get a voucher for them to assist you going forward.
So how big do you see this business grow, especially in light of all this assistance that you've just received now?
Oh, it's extremely growing, the business, even though it might be challenging at sometimes when the sales are not doing good. But you just have to come up with new ways, innovative ways of how to sell, especially now because we have online platforms. We should be taking those like seriously, because of most of the people now are moving on to the online platforms. So there's the way that I'm also going to take to grow the business and also sell at the robots, because the dancers at the robots, they just dance without selling anything. So people need to learn how to sell. People need to understand business, because there's no business without selling.
Gontse, you really are selling yourself. And Dumi, one of the things that, you know, one thinks about is when we talk about, you know, what he just spoke about, I'm thinking of another one. On social media, we're seeing a lot of posts by young people with qualifications, and they want to get into the world of employment. Juxtapose that with LinkedIn, for example. There's so many jobs that are being posted there. And you talk about this matching of young people. Would you say that there's potentially a skills mismatch in what some of the young people are learning at tertiary level? Or is it simply because they may not have data and access some of these jobs that they're looking for?
I think it's a bit of both. And why I say that is, you know, in school, it's all very well that we get the theoretical element of everything, but we're not really exposed to the practical part of things. And many times the mismatch would be the level of years of experience that you'd require in order to suit a particular job. So that becomes the gap that we're now sitting with. And we need to find a point where, as a country, we can really mitigate that to say, should we then be looking at providing practicals for each and every learning outcome that you go through as a tertiary student, just so that you can maybe use that as a standard base of experience that you have within that particular work experience. So I think maybe that's the current challenge that we have, and again, we need to sort of go back to the drawing board and see what is it that, or what are the ways that we can then implement to mitigate that particular challenge of youth not having experience, therefore not qualifying for a particular job. And yes, you're absolutely correct. I think there's thousands of jobs that are posted on LinkedIn daily, but youth will keep getting that response. And unfortunately, you have not made the cut, and you'll start to question yourself as a young person. Is it me? I mean, what is it? What is wrong that I'm doing? And it's just that small factor of saying you don't have the experience, but where do I get it from when I've just come out of tertiary and I'm looking for you to give me that particular experience.
You wanted to add to that, Gontse?
Yeah, that's one of the challenges that people face, especially now after they've graduated. But what I know and what I think that is going to work is that as young people, as we are manufacturing like this, people can come to us, small businesses, with the skills that they have from the tertiaries, and they come to implement it to us, the small businesses that are trying to grow, of which they're going to get the experience as well from these businesses that are still trying to grow. Because we must remember one thing, we have brands. And since we have brands, the brands build companies, and the companies, they create jobs. So we have to stick to these brands, because these brands are the ones that the jobs are the ones that are going to create the economy, because people are going to pay tax to the SARS, and now we're building our country in that way. So I think we just have to create a value chain with the businesses, the varsities, and the TVET colleges.
All right, thank you so much to you both. Young men, all the best. It looks like you really know what you want and your goal is set out for you. Thank you so much to you both for coming through. That was stakeholder engagement consultant Dumi Roux. She works at Empowaworx, as well as entrepreneur Gontse Selaocoe.